Welcome to Auto Mundial, the weekly car news and review show. This time we're taking a look at the new Genesis GV80, a luxury 7-seater taking on the Land Rover Discovery.
We also have BMW's new MPV and the Volkswagen Golf GTE, plus some two-wheeled action with the wild Ducati DesertX. That's all coming up, but first the news.
Kia has confirmed that a version of the EV9 will be entering production next year. The large electric SUV is currently undergoing testing ahead of its reveal in 2023. Inspired by the EV9 concept that we first saw last year, we don't expect many of the concept car idiosyncrasies to make it to production, with smaller wheels and conventional doors more likely to make it to the showroom floor. Kia has confirmed that the EV9 will be bigger than the existing ICE Sorento, but not quite as big as the US market Telluride. It's expected to use the same running gear as the smaller EV6, so we can expect a 300+ mile range and decent performance.
For years now, the luxury SUV class has been dominated by the usual suspects. Land Rover, BMW, Mercedes. We generally know what to expect from them when a new 4x4 model is launched. But now they have some new competition in the form of this, the Genesis GV80. As with other new models we've seen from Hyundai's luxury sub-brand, the GV80 certainly looks the part. The Bentley-esque winged badge might not have the pedigree of some of its European rivals, but it looks right at home among the school-run queue of Q7s and Land Rover Discoveries. But can a Genesis really be mentioned in the same breath as the class favourite Discovery? Well, take a step inside, and we can't see why not. It's all leather-lined and fantastically high quality. The switchgear is knurled, like you get in a Bentley, while the widescreen infotainment system looks as crisp and as up-to-date as anything from Europe. There are plenty of buttons too, so you don't have to worry about finding the right menu on the touchscreen to alter your aircon. There's a huge kit list as well, including self-parking and a posh sound system. But be warned, there's a £15,000 price gulf between the 58 grand entry-level car and the top spec model, so choose carefully. It's available with either 5 or 7 seats, although the third row isn't quite as spacious as the Land Rover Discoveries. Under the bonnet, you get a choice of 2 engines, a 2.5-litre petrol and a 3-litre diesel. The petrol motor produces 300 brake horsepower, getting the GV80 from 0 to 62 in 7.7 seconds. Now, it isn't rapid, but this is a 2.2-tonne SUV. The diesel is slightly heavier again, but despite its 25 bhp power disadvantage, it'll hit 62.2 seconds quicker, thanks to a healthy extra dollop of torque. The diesel is definitely the one to go for, especially with its noise-cancelling tech, meaning you don't need to worry about the extra noise while its 143 mph top speed is plenty. But how does it stack up against our favourite 7-seat premium SUV, the Land Rover Discovery?
Fresh off the back of a recent facelift, the Disco still isn't winning any beauty contests, but what it lacks in elegance and symmetry, it makes up for with its ability and practicality. The styling changes are very subtle, and sadly for some, the awkward-looking off-centre rear number plate remains unchanged, with the repositioned Discovery badging doing little to divert the eye. The Discovery's interior was already one of our favourites in this class, but now it's even better with Land Rover's new Pivi Pro infotainment system on a bigger 11-inch screen, and a few styling tweaks here and there, including some new controls for the heating and aircon. The Pivi Pro system is both larger and brighter than the old one, and easier to use. The rest of the cabin remains as spacious and practical as ever, with loads of space throughout and the nifty electric folding seats helping to make this one of the best cars out there for big families. Under the bonnet, the Discovery gets a new host of engines, with an array of JLR's latest 4 and 6 cylinders. The petrol range kicks off with the 2-litre P300 producing 296 brake horsepower, while a bigger 3-litre motor rounds off the petrol options with 355 brake horsepower, thanks to an electric supercharger and mild hybrid system. This is the fastest model on offer, hitting 62 miles per hour from rest in 6.5 seconds. The diesel selection consists of a 3-litre 6-cylinder mild hybrid with either 247 or 296 brake horsepower and a towing capacity of up to 3.5 tons. All models come with an 8-speed auto box and naturally 4-wheel drive. And that's where the Discovery aims to stand apart from its rivals. It comes with Land Rover's tried and tested Terrain Response 2 system that automatically optimises the car for whatever surface you happen to be driving on. It's even slightly cheaper than the Genesis, with prices starting at about £1,000 less.
The Land Rover then is still a great choice, but with the brand's troubling reputation for unreliability, we can see why some buyers might look elsewhere. And for those that don't want a green oval, the Genesis is a great alternative.
In its ongoing quest to build the world's biggest front grille, BMW has revealed its all-new 2 Series Active Tourer to rival the likes of the Mercedes B-Class and Volkswagen Touran. Not to be confused with the new 2 Series Coupe, the Active Tourer is a practical family car based on the front-wheel drive 1 Series platform. MPVs may have declined in popularity over the last decade with the increased demand for SUVs, but cars like this still make a lot of sense for family buyers. With a much sleeker, cleaner design than the old car, it actually looks pretty good if you can get your head around the truly enormous kidney grills that are joined in the middle. Where a B-Class or a Touran might fly under the radar, this certainly doesn't. Slightly larger than the old car in every dimension, the new Active Tourer is more spacious than ever, with improved head and legroom throughout, but BMW has been careful to keep the weight down. The wheels are forged, the bonnet is made from aluminium, and there's more plastic built into the car's structure, which not only saves weight, but improves rigidity. Much work has been done in the wind tunnel too to improve its aerodynamics and thus provide better fuel economy. Inside the tasteful cabin, there are some all-new seats that have been designed to be as comfortable as possible. The rear seats can be moved around to suit your needs or folded away completely for up to 1,455 litres of cargo space. Do note, however, that this is a 5-seat car, not a 7. A range of petrol engines is available with 1 diesel option, as well as a plug-in hybrid, but it is worth pointing out that the PHEV has slightly less boot space due to the batteries. Power ranges between 148 and 322 brake horsepower, with top-spec cars getting all-wheel drive, meaning this should be a very usable luxury family car. But if the 2 Series wants top honours in the posh MPV market, it'll need to beat the current class leader, the Mercedes B-Class.
Based on the popular A-Class, the B is available with all the expensive options and technology you can get on its sister car. Basic models come with a pair of 7-inch screens. They're bright and sharp and include navigation and voice control. If you're willing to splash out a bit though, you can get a beautiful pair of bigger screens stretching out across the top of the dash. Be warned though, while they might look great, they are quite distracting. Elsewhere in the cabin, everything is typically Mercedes. The materials on display are first class with excellent fit and finish and an ultra-modern look. It's very similar to the A-Class interior, but you sit higher and the driving position isn't as comfortable. This, though, is a car for carrying passengers, so rear bench space is a priority. Thankfully, there's acres of room for those in the back. The tall roofline means headroom is excellent, and there's plenty of legroom too. Boot space is decent and a lot better than many crossover SUVs that buyers may be considering. There's a wide range of petrol and diesel engines to choose from, with the highlight being the B250's 2-litre petrol, which can do 0 to 62 in just 6.4 seconds and on to 155 miles per hour. Then there's the frugal diesel B220D, which offers a great blend of economy and performance, with its 187 brake horsepower allowing for a 7.2 second 0 to 62 time.
MPVs may have gone out of fashion, but cars like the B-Class and the new 2 Series Active Tourer prove that they're still worthy rivals to the flurry of crossovers and small SUVs. For our money, we'd go for the BMW. It may have the face of a cartoon villain, but it's an impressively complete package.
After the break, Ducati takes on BMW with the new DesertX. Coming up, fun on 2 wheels. First though,
the GTI moniker has been around for what seems like forever. 3 letters that, when associated with a VW hatchback, represent power, speed and fun, all on a budget. Since the name's inception in 1976, it has gained diesel and plug-in hybrid cousins, named GTD and GTE respectively. With the Golf's 8th generation now taking on from where the 7th left off, VW has brought out its latest GTE model. Along with the e-hybrid, the GTE is one of 2 plug-in hybrid versions of the new Golf so far, and with 40 horsepower more than the e-hybrid, it's surely the sportier option of the 2. But is this really a hybrid for hot hatch lovers? Visually, the new GTE looks all but identical to the GTI and the GTD models. There are some flashy red brake calipers and tasteful optional 18-inch alloys. It doesn't have the iconic red trim of the GTI, but there's no doubting its sporting credentials. Perhaps the biggest giveaway that this isn't a thoroughbred GTI, though, is the exhaust pipes, or lack thereof, with just some chrome trim mimicking the uglier real things that are hidden underneath. The old-school hot hatch format is preserved with a front-wheel drive drivetrain, though the manual 6-speed from the GTI has been ditched for a 6-speed DSG. It perhaps isn't a car for the purist then, but it's not lacking in performance. It produces 242 brake horsepower, the same as a GTI, from a 1.4-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder with help from a 13 kilowatt-hour battery. The added batteries compared to the non-hybrid model add an eye-watering 176 kilograms, though they do allow for up to 40 miles of electric-only range. Easily enough to cover the average daily commute. In all-electric mode, the sporty hybrid will reach a maximum of 80 miles per hour, while the petrol engine will boost that to 140. It'll complete the 0 to 62 sprint in 6.7 seconds, 0.4 seconds slower than its petrol sibling, despite an extra chunk of electric torque. With tartan sports seats, the GTE continues the long-standing tradition in Golf GT models. The rest of the interior is like any other Mark 8 Golf. Most buttons one would expect in a modern car have been removed, with most functionalities requiring navigating the 10-inch touchscreen or the frustrating haptic controls.
combine, the VW Group has a variety of sporty plug-in hybrids, one of which is this, the Skoda Octavia VRS. Being based on the same platform as the Golf GTE, on paper the two cars are very similar. The same engine and battery pack put out the same amount of power, though the Octavia is half a second slower to 60 and its top speed drops by a single mph. In the grand scheme of things, that minute difference is never going to matter, but when we're splitting hairs, it counts. Despite having a smidge less performance on paper, the Skoda's interior looks sportier than the Golf. With buttons decorating the centre console and a prettier gear selector, it's certainly a more conventional place to be than the VW. Alcantara covers the dashboard and door cards, giving a more sporty feel than the Golf.
But the Volkswagen is more expensive, and it's the Czech car that gets our vote. With the performance so closely matched, it goes down to personal taste. But to us, the Octavia's sporty styling and simple interior make it the hot hybrid to go for.
Chances are, when you think of Ducati, the first thing that springs to mind is something like this, the Panigale V4S. With over 210 bhp out of the showroom, MotoGP developed technology and aero, Ducati's signature 90-degree V4 engine, it's a true racing superbike for the road. Chances are you don't think of something like this. And no, we're not referring to the star white silk colour. We're referring to the model, the new Ducati DesertX. That's right, after nearly 100 years, the Borgo Panigale firm has finally released its first bespoke rally raid trail bike, complete with knobbly tyres and an aluminium skid plate. Yes, Ducati does sell a whole range of multi-strada adventure bikes, however this is the first from the Bologna brand to be fully focused on the rally raid market. So, has Ducati's transition to this new sector paid off? Well, there's no arguing with its looks. With big circular headlights which merge into the windscreen and 46mm forks which sit atop the massive 21-inch front wheel, it certainly makes a statement. We think it looks great, and combined with the white colour, it would certainly look at home in any polar setting of a sci-fi movie. Or here, on Sardinian gravel tracks, where the DesertX really is at home. With light steering, a well-balanced steel trellis chassis, and ergonomic riding position, it feels like the DesertX could be ridden for hours. And with a 23-litre, 250-mile range, it can. But what the DesertX does that other bikes don't is transition to tarmac effortlessly. The KYB forks and shocks provide 230mm and 220mm of travel respectively, which may seem like it would be too much for on-road riding, but it has been designed in a way where it doesn't feel like any environment has been compromised. The same is true for the Brembo calipers and 320mm front discs. Powering this go-anywhere-do-anything machine is Ducati's 937cc Testra Tretta engine, lifted from the Monster and Multistrada V2. However, this unit is 1.7 kilograms lighter and peak power is 110 bhp, plenty for off-road tracks and tarmac roads alike. And for those with just a Class 2 A2 licence, there's even a 48 brake horsepower model. And where the Ducati really is impressive is the tech. There are 6 riding modes, 2 of which are tailored to trail riding, while the other 4 are focused on on-road riding. The power and traction control varies by mode, with the Enduro mode, for example, lower on power than Rally mode, useful not only for rougher terrain, but also for newer riders. The DesertX then has plenty of appeal, and at £14,000 it's cheaper than the KTM 890 Adventure and Honda Africa Twin, while also being more sophisticated.
But what else is there that can trump the Ducati on price? Well, this is the BMW F850 GS Adventure, and while it is down on power compared to the Ducati, at 94 brake horsepower, it is up on price, setting it back a little over £11,000 for the standard model, £3,000 less than the DesertX. Sitting in the middle of BMW's adventure offerings between the 310 GS and the 1250 GS, the 850 will be the perfect balance between off-road ability and power for most buyers. Similarly to the Ducati, the BMW has 215mm and 230mm of suspension travel respectively, with 43mm front forks, while the 853cc parallel twin motor has plenty of torque.
Despite the lower price tag, the Ducati can't be overlooked as the favourite of the two. Its great appearance, coupled with its on- and off-road abilities, puts it right to the top of the class.
Join us again next week on Auto Mundial as we take a look at the latest bit of badge engineering from Stellantis, the 2023 Dodge Hornet.